Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again for our 18th lesson on the laws of Shabbat. Today we're going to continue with our laws of preparation, washing before Shabbat. Lukewarm water or cold water is not doing the job. According to the law, one must wash himself with a nice hot shower or bath before Shabbat. In the olden days, it wasn't so simple to get a hold of hot water as we know, so, at least large amounts of hot water. So the minimum requirement was to wash one's face, his hands, hair, legs, just do the basic, bodily parts with hot water. Today we're blessed with a bounty of water. Well, again, unfortunately, it's a drought situation, but we do have a bounty of hot water. It's not a problem to take a shower or a bath. So therefore, one must be very, very careful to shower in a nice hot shower before Shabbat or a bath and get yourself ready for the Shabbos Queen. People always go crazy getting themselves ready for weddings, but when it comes to, Shabbat, sometimes it can be a little easygoing, and that's really a mistake. We have to honor the Shabbat Queen coming in by taking a nice hot shower. And of course, this question could come up when someone's in the army again, and the difficulties of doing all these things. At least the minimum requirement would be as we mentioned before, the custom of doing the hair, the face, the hands, and the feet. A minimum requirement of washing with hot water if one can. Okay. Now, we should mention that before Shabbat, one should not get, right before Shabbat comes in, some people have the custom, let me run quickly for a shower. And that could be problematic, because right before Shabbat enters, and you run into a hot shower, you can actually leave in the wintertime. It can happen more in the summer, when you're lighting up the boiler or lighting up the hot water. Most homes in Israel, of course, we have the hot water system where the sun does the job and it's not a problem. But if you light up the hot water before Shabbat using the boiler, you can forget and leave it on, which can be a problem. Someone can accidentally shut it off. Or the major problem would be using hot water on Shabbat afterwards, because as you open the hot water, you're letting cold water in the system, which is getting cooked. And we'll talk about that when we get to the laws of cooking on Shabbat. So anyway, make sure you do your shower early enough, and this way you won't have that problem of forgetting the hot water on and running into a problem of using, again, hot water on Shabbat. What about cutting person's hair or fingernails before Shabbat? When the time comes and your hair is getting too long and your fingernails are overgrown, looking like a little Dracula, so a person should make sure that he does it in honor of Shabbat by doing it in Shabbat afternoon after Chatzot. This way it's very clear you're getting a haircut, you're cutting your nails in the honor of Shabbat. If someone can't do it, he's worried about it running out of time, he's rushed, he can do it, of course, Friday morning or Thursday as well. And that's, again, getting it when it comes time to getting a haircut or cutting our nails before Shabbat. House preparations. Very important that our houses are clean, tables are set, the chairs are all put into place, washing the floors. The house itself should be beautiful for Shabbat. It's the Shabbat Queen. We want to have the ambience of a beautiful Shabbat. And of course, when the table is set, let the table be set with the most beautiful silverware and cups and plates. All that should also be, it's a very important thing to do in honor of Shabbat. I will mention on the side, a lot of times there's a lot of guests, and then it's very hard to all the dishes piling up, and you don't have enough silverware, whatever plates. So you can use paper plates. That can be used, but if they're higher quality than a normal during the week, because you want to make Shabbat special. Of course, the best thing is to use real silverware, real stuff, but if it can't be done, at least very high quality paper plates should be done on Shabbat to make life easier for those who have to clean up all the mess. People, of course, there are those who mistakenly think that holiness is represented only in the Torah, the study of Torah and prayer, but physical things like eating and drinking and bodily preparations and all those kind of things, they prevent someone from spiritual elevation. Now, if they realize that this is not a Jewish thing, Shabbat teaches us that we can sanctify the physical world, and we actually uproot, the word I'm looking for is not uplift our physical world by bringing holiness into every one of our physical actions. And that's really what Torah is all about. God, we can find Hashem in every one of our aspects that we do during our physical aspects, during this physical world that we live in. And not only when you're praying or when you are studying Torah. So when people have that mode that only then they're spiritual, they just sort of take the God out of their lives during most of the day when they're doing physical things. So that's so important to realize that Hashem is with us 24/7. And therefore, we can uplift every physical action and make it holy. And that's exactly the lesson Shabbat teaches us, that there is peace between the spiritual and the material realm. And this peace, of course, this is how we make peace between, with our wives and with our family and friends. Peace is bringing peace in all worlds, in all realms. And that really is a very important lesson about the Shabbat. We should also realize that on Shabbat, it's so important to maintain this peace, that even if you had a bad situation where, let's say you came back from shul and the electricity popped or something, or the food got spoiled, and here you are on Shabbat, you don't really have much to eat. But God forbid to fight and to lose the peace in the house because of this situation. This is what it says in Proverbs 15:17, that it's better to have a dinner with herbs when there's love in it than having a fat ox with hatred. Or a verse in Proverbs 17:1, that it's better to have a dry morsel but have a quietness and tranquility than having, of course, a house full of feast, but when there is strife in the house. In other words, peace is the most important thing, and this is what's brought down in the Sefer Hasidim, the book of Hasidim, that it's better to have vegetables and Shabbat with love than having man and wife and their children, having a big fat feast of ox and fight over one another, and etc. So peace is the most important thing we strive for. And if it happens that the electricity went down or the food got spoiled, God forbid to fight over it, just to be happy and with your lot. That's the most important thing. We know that when we come back from the synagogue, we are told by Chazal, by our rabbis, that two angels escort a person home, a good angel and a bad angel. And basically when the angels come to the house and they see that everything is in order, and so the good angel says, God willing, next week will be the same thing. And the bad angel has to say amen against its will. And if the opposite is true, God forbid, the house is in disorder and everything is not the table's not made and the house is all messed up. So the bad angel says it should be like this next week, and the good angel will have to say amen against his will. And what is the deep meaning behind this about the angels is that, again, we see that the way we bring God and sanctify our lives, we're bringing Hashem to every one of our aspects. So if we are doing something enthusiastically and with beauty and bounty and happiness, all the evil forces in the world, in other words, what is the evil force in the world? When you do things, with a half enthusiasm, and etc. And when you do something without devotion, without, energy, that is going to continue. If you're going to live a life like that, it's going to always be that way. So one Shabbat's going to bring the next Shabbat like that. But if your life is full of devotion and love and happiness, so you're forcing all the forces of the world to agree to it. Amen! You're going to have a beautiful Shabbat next week. So it's important for us to be very enthusiastic of what we do. Well, I hope this was an eye-opener for all of us to make our Shabbatot beautiful. Okay, so it was great to be with you all, and God willing, we will begin our 19th lesson very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.